It feels like it's been forever since I've talked about Cherry Magic, but it really hasn't been that long. Hey, it's Romania Black, and we are actually starting our dive into the manga for Cherry Magic. I was given information from the moderator, Be Happy, as well as fellow, sometimes co-moderator, always commenter on Patreon, Sunspots, who were telling me how I should approach the manga, because I've finished the anime, as you, if you've been on my channel before, have noted. If not, I've got reactions to the Cherry Magic anime over my channel. Go pop in, find the playlist, have fun. But with that, I wanted to start going into the manga, but I didn't want to do just like a reread of the volumes covering the anime entirely, because that would feel redundant. So instead, I asked the moderators how I should go about this. Now, after consulting with them and getting various opinions, I had been originally told to read volumes 1 through 7. I could review those and then dive into volume 8 as some of the content starts to differ. But I'm not going to lie to you. I started getting to it. When I got to volume 7, I started seeing some differences, and I was like, ooh, what if we reacted to volume 7 today and did just a recap of volumes 1 through 6, which primarily cover the anime episodes 1 through 10. And then we'll dive into the 2 volumes and the volumes subsequently that'll cover the last 2 episodes of the anime, and then dive into the manga over the next couple of months that deal with what happens after. Because if you've watched the season of Cherry Magic's anime, then you probably have the sense that they are probably not going to create a season 2, which is very unfortunate, because the series is fantastic and talks about relationships and focuses on them. And I want to talk about that with you all in this recap and this review, and then dive into volume 7 and react to that, since already I could tell, I was like, ooh, there's going to be some extra things that weren't in the anime that I would like to react to and kind of talk with you about as we go. So fun times. But obviously, with that being said, there are going to be spoilers for episodes 1 through 10 of the anime. Like I said, if you've not seen Cherry Magic's anime, pause this, save it in your watch later, go check out that anime, and then come back. And if you get a chance to watch my reactions, cool. So I want to thank also Patreon and YouTube before I start, because I had been wondering if anyone would even be interested in a manga reaction review of this series, and overwhelmingly, I did a mid-year survey, and overwhelmingly there was a demand that people were like, yes, we would love to see you start the manga, talk about it, react to it. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, I did go to a supplier, an official English translation supplier, and I purchased volumes 1 through 10 so far of the manga. So I am supporting the official release. I am supporting the mangaka directly with contributions. I just bought volumes 1 through 10 because that's what I could budget for now. Thank you, Patreon. Appreciate. But my goal is I will read until at least volume 14, and then volume 15 as it comes out, and so on and so forth, on a monthly basis, as long as Cherry Magic continues. So we've got Cherry Magic at least for the rest of this year and into 2026, which is exciting. On a month-by-month basis, I get a little dose of BL. I'm excited about that. And we're going to talk about BL, because I'm also, as I'm recording this, reacting to The Summer Hikaru Died over on my channel. So hopefully you get a chance to check that out. It is a horror BL, so it's a very different tone than Cherry Magic, but it is mainstream enough that I'm excited about it, subverting tropes, talking about conversations with queer identity and communities. And even though I am I'm on the asexual spectrum, and I know that people that are asexual find difficulty fitting into the LGBTQ sphere, because we're not necessarily attracted to people of the same sex. We're often more invisible in terms, I feel, of the community, where it's kind of like I can pass as straight and I pass as heterosexual, which I kind of am adjacent to, because I am somewhat romantically attracted to people of the opposite sex, but I feel a little bit more fluid with that because I'm not sexually attracted to people in general, right? There's only been, I can count on these 2 fingers, people I've been sexually attracted to in my entire 37 years. And those 2 people I am attracted to, I have known for multiple decades. So it's, if demisexual is the label for it, that's the vibe. But usually if I walk down the street, I don't get a lady boner for a guy. And that's just, it's just like, cool, aesthetically you are pleasing. So That's kind of where I fall sexually. But it is a discussion, I feel, of kind of needing to be talked about with BL. And so I'm probably going to go into tangents as we go through this and talking about it. So bear with me. Eventually, I'd love to do a dive into why women write and read BL and do that. But my thoughts are not yet gravitated and grounded and organized into such a video, so they're just going to come out in my discussions of BL in my videos. So that's where we're at. But before we dive any further into this, I do want to talk about Sunspot's comment on episode 12 of the anime saying that Kurosawa's wild fantasies of Adachi involve like full coverage, extremely soft and comfortable pajama shots, which I love it. It's great. I appreciate that a lot, and we're going to talk about this as we go. So what I'm going to do is review and recap volumes 1 through 6 with you all and show you some images as I've recorded those, as I've looked at it. There were some really cute things that were talked about with that, and then we'll come back and react to volume 7 together, which is exciting. The volumes themselves are, if we're talking about manga in general, I will say that in terms of length-wise and what you pay for what you get, I feel like Cherry Magic is a little bit pricier than some of the other manga that I've reviewed just in general. The Kindle versions, which is what I'm looking at because I can record Kindle, unfortunately can't record Nooks. I usually go through Barnes & Noble to get my text because I like supporting that business, but unfortunately for reaction purposes, it can be hard because there's not a PC version of the Nook that you can, upload and react to unless you all know a way to do that, which please comment down below if you do. But that being said, the Kindle price for the digital versions were like $10 a volume for these, which could get a little spendy if you are looking at an ebook version of it. I have a personal issue a little bit with Kindle because Amazon's policies is really you're just buying a license, but you don't technically get a tangible material you can download. They changed that policy last year, which was problematic. So what can you do? But I do recommend the manga. I really enjoy this manga so far. Volumes 1 through 6 have been a lot of fun, and there are little bonus things from the contents of the anime that were added that are really cute, which we're going to talk about some of my highlights that I want to share with you all. So I basically organized these through volumes 1 through 6 to go with you all. So let's dive into that, shall we? The art style is very similar to the anime. This is volume 1's cover. Yu Toyota is our mangaka here. I do like the little, it kind of looks like Team 4 Stars logo, which is interesting, but says can now read minds, which is great. But yeah, Cherry Magic, 30 years of virginity can make you a wizard. Question mark, exclamation point, how I do every title of my videos on YouTube. One thing I do want to note is that and I don't know if the Japanese manga does the same thing, but for the English translation, you'll notice there's like a little tiny parental advisory explicit content bubble in this. I want to talk about taking a little bit of umbrage with that as we dive into this, because until you get to around volumes 5 or 6, volumes 1 through 4, there's not any explicit content really, except for one panel I'm going to show you on like page 1 of this manga. But there's not any explicit content. It's literally just, if by explicit content you mean, oh, a dude liking another dude, then yes. But I don't consider that explicit content. And I again, it's a little bit political, but I do feel as if the parental advisory explicit content is tapping into two various factors. One is the idea that in Western culture, especially in American culture, we still, to this day, even though shows like Invincible, King of the Hill, South Park, there's so many Western animation that prove this wrong, but there is a defined, after how many decades of animation, concept that cartoon equals child. And that is not true, has not been true for decades. If you look at Ralph Bakshi's work with Cool World from the 90s and even dating back to his Lord of the Rings adaptations and Wizards and before that in the 70s, no, cartoons have constantly been used to address adult content for decades, but there is still, by a lot of parents, by a lot of adults, this concept that cartoon equals childish. And so having to slap this parental advisory label upon it is just a reminder that, oh, don't let your 5-year-old grab this book because there might be kissy stuff in it. Although to be fair, that leads to my second point, which is a blatant calling out of homosexual relationships and queer relationships as being explicit when, sorry, I watched Beauty and the Beast when I was 4 and there was full on macking by the end of that and a feather duster and a candelabra getting it on little toaster style, but that was okay because it was a heterosexual relationship. So there is a political tie to that label. It frustrated me. It makes me irk a little bit. I wish we could make it a little bit more aware that volume 5 starts to where they get a little bit more intimate in their relationship. And it's like, okay, yes, at that point when they start to get intimate, and by volume 6, when we get to it, yeah, there are some sexual content there that needs to be addressed. At that point, the parental advisory is okay. But I'm also saying this as someone who, when I was 12 years old, accidentally stumbled upon Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King and read it and went, oh, what's this? And learned the birds and the bees that way. So I'm a millennial. I have opinions about this content, but I think it's interesting to address. So I just wanted to get that right out of the way, that I noticed that right off the bat and was like, okay. So those are my thoughts with it. Now, what I was going to say is right off the bat, we get in volume 1, Adachi explaining that he's gained ever since turning 30, the ability to read people's minds. And we get this panel, which includes a little bit extra from the anime, which I know why the anime cut it, but it is interesting that he talks about his commute being hell, and then saying, to begin with, I'd never be a virgin after all this time if I didn't have issues with touching women I find attractive, which right off the bat is a talk about his sexuality and him not coming to terms with the fact that he's not attracted to women, thus why he's never been attracted to them or reached out and tried to do anything, tying to that. But then there's this one panel towards the end there that says, I finally decided, now again, this is the English translation. I could never imagine Adachi using this verbiage, but the English translator clearly used some vernacular of the English language, saying some idioms, saying, I finally decided to get my cherry popped, boom-chi, cherry magic, if you didn't know what this series was about, by a pro. So I went to a soap land. Now, I don't know if a soap land, I don't know if Adachi solicited a woman for sex. That panel came up and I was like, what? So I went to a soap land, but the woman's thoughts were so kinky that I barfed. So clearly, the thing about it is that will come up later when Adachi hears Kurosawa's thoughts, and he's a little bit repulsed at first because he thinks Kurosawa's a pervert, but he isn't barfing, so... But I was a little bit thrown off by that because it seemed very out of character for Adachi, which, again, he barfed and left, so it was out of character. He was just like, I'll make myself go have sex with a woman, and then it just obviously didn't work out. But I thought that was interesting. The mangaka has a few afterwards, which I'm going to read with you all. I've not read them. I just took screenshots so I could read with you in real time on this video. But I do like this foreword after the very first chapter, saying, I got a lot of letters pointing out that if people who were still virgins at 30 turned into wizards, there would probably be a lot more wizards around. I vaguely suspected as much myself. Please think of it as a whim of the goddess of love, Yu Toyota. And then we have this image of the goddess of love, who kind of just looks like a female version of Adachi, that says, oh my, that poor dear is so very, very loved, but they haven't even noticed. I'll give them a birthday present. It's like if the fairy godmother from Cinderella was like, go get laid. And then did that, twinkle, twinkle. So if we could only be as lucky, right? So there's a lot of little tiny panels that the mangaka does, especially of Adachi and Kurosawa, that I'm going to bring up throughout this recap, which I thought were adorable. Again, the anime is a great adaptation from the manga. After reading the first 6 volumes, I'm like, the anime is a great adaptation. It animates almost everything except for little tiny extras perfectly. But I do think that those little extras do make it kind of worth it to get the manga, in my opinion. So I was happy now that I've got the manga as supplemental to the anime because I think it's worth it. I really like this one shot of Adachi where he's like putting on the pajamas when he's first visiting Kurosawa's apartment when he stays the night. And he's just like, why are these such a perfect fit? How did he know my measurements? What is this? But I like the narrator's little, the omniscient narrator's text here saying, Adachi puts on the emotionally loaded pajamas. Emotionally Loaded is insanely good. With the apartment scene, there is a little like page and a half after that first night where we get more of Kurosawa's perspective. Like when the anime episode ends, you see Kurosawa on the other side of the door. He's freaking out that Adachi's staying over at his apartment and Adachi's trying to sleep. We get the next day, we get like a little page and a half of Kurosawa waking up and making breakfast, which is really cute. But I like his little shoulder angel and shoulder devil here, where the shoulder devil's like, well, you could mess with him a tiny bit. He wouldn't even notice. And then the shoulder angel's like, no, if he found out, he'd hate you for sure. I liked that throughout this series, we got Kurosawa's perspective, and Kurosawa is horny, but also respectfully horny. So he's like, no, I'm going to do this the right way and try to woo him, with being consensual. And I'm like, good, great. Glad we have that in this world. But yeah, but also in addition to that, even the parts of the manga that are adapted really well into the anime, I do appreciate like the moments where we get stuff that happens in the anime, but we get like the mangaka does an amazing job of illustrating the soft, intimate, yearning expressions of Kurosawa and Adachi. They look amazing. I love it. And so I like this conversation where Adachi is like, for the first time, I found myself wanting to know more about a person. I was attracted to a person. I wanted to be closer and more intimate with them. And it's just the double spreads when the mangaka gives us double spreads are really well done. Really well done. Also, I guess in volume 1, if you're talking about explicit content, there's one panel in the first volume, where Adachi is thinking about, because Kurosawa like leans over him at work and is like, I'd like to nibble on his like beauty mark. And there's a shot where Adachi he's like imagining what Kurosawa would do to him. But you know what? When I was young, I read vampire stories that had a similar shot. I do like the vampire aesthetic. If you had a vampire AU of Kurosawa and Adachi, just saying. But I saw this and I was like, it's not something that I wouldn't have seen as a kid and been like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of romantic. And they're adults. I think that's the other thing too, is if you read this series, if a younger kid read this series and thought, oh, they're 30, when I was, 15 or 16, I thought 30 was ancient, and now I'm 37 and going, wow, was wrong. So I feel like it's not, that's the most scandalous. Let's clutch our pearls, Now the mangaka does have a afterword from volume 1. I like this, where it says, they tell me that Cherry Magic 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You into a Wizard has been released as a book. I'm so happy. Thank you for buying it. Thank you so much to everyone who gave it their support. It all started with a 4-page manga I casually posted on Twitter. Because of all the retweets and likes, it was turned into a book. When the offer came to publish it in book form, it's fundamentally a romantic comedy, but I'd like to show the shifts and changes in Kurosawa and Adachi's hearts in detail. As the story develops, I'd like them to have them get sexy too. Will that be okay at Square Enix? And they're like, absolutely, bring it on. Okay. So, since I've gotten the okay for that, I hope you'll continue to watch over these two in the future, awkward and clumsy as they are. And these guys too, which is Suge and Minato. Are you for real? But we hardly did anything in volume 1. I can't handle any more than this. Special thanks. So yeah, that is one thing too, because I was having a conversation with someone on YouTube about the summer Hikaru died, which has been contested whether or not it's a BL or not. I believe that it is. But that is contested, understandably. But there had been a commenter who was someone in the queer community that was saying that they're making a very generalized statement about BL, saying that BL fetishized relationships, that it wasn't expressing the true dynamics of queer relationships. And I was like, hold on. I was like, oh, pump the brakes, kids. I was like, that's a very general response to have. And I feel like one thing about Cherry Magic, which I know I'm doing a live stream, by the time this comes out, I may have already done the live stream. If not, find that live stream on YouTube or Patreon where we're going to talk about it. But I feel like series like Cherry Magic, they don't just come out the bat with yaoi smut like BL gets a lot of reputation for being. And BL and yaoi are different beasts. They are. Yaoi is explicitly designed to be more erotic, but let's not act like gay porn doesn't exist. So it's just like, or porn in general doesn't exist. So you can't really put BL and yaoi in the same category. A lot of times, like when I do my Janu yaoi segment on my channel, a lot of it is BL. Janu yaoi is just used as semantics because it's a play on words, and it's also addressing content that is women writing men on men relationships. But not all of it is smutty or spicy. And if it is, it's to varying degrees. It's like saying that all heterosexual romance is wholesome. It is not. Or saying that all of it's well written. It is not. So I feel like whenever we generalize things and generalize a genre, it leads to a lot of assumptions that are just not accurate. And so what I like about Cherry Magic is the mangaka addresses right off the bat that yes, these two are going to develop into a relationship. Yes, it will become sexual as it goes. They're 30-year-old men. It's normal and appropriate for that to happen. But as any other relationship, you can't just start out with the smut, and some yaoi and BL do. And you know what? If that's your cup of tea and you're reading it for that, let's not clutch our pearls and act like it's shameful, because it's personal preference and taste. But I do think that this series helps to subvert those expectations and subvert conventions that people have for when they encounter BL and yaoi and say, oh, this is just going to be instant smut right off the bat with no content or substance. And that's a very bold and inaccurate claim to make. So I could go on. I could get on my soapbox. I could be here all day. But I do like that the mangaka addresses that we are going to talk about the shifts and changes in their hearts. And I feel like to say that a woman cannot write about, I feel like we're in 2025. To say that a person of one sex cannot write about universal experiences, but also subvert the genders of those characters, it feels like a dated stance. Now, obviously, I cannot completely write about the accurate experiences of a gay man in society because I am not one, correct? But I feel like as long as your stances on what you're writing about are not directly harming that person or that institution or that experience, I feel like it's okay to share an experience like that. I think that it's a super complicated issue because a lot of people take umbrage with, some people take umbrage with heterosexual people writing about queer experiences. And yeah, there's obviously an experience that you can't discuss or relate to, but to forbid someone from writing about that experience when you don't know exactly maybe why they're writing about it, I think leaves a lot to be desired. Again, I could go into a lot of reasons of why women write BL and why they like to read it. A lot of it is being able to explore a relationship outside of a heteronormative societal structure. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why women write yuri. There's a reason why women write yaoi. Could go into more detail about it, but we're talking about Cherry Magic. But what I want to say is that I like this mangaka and their approach to the series, and I think what they write about in the relationship between Adachi and Kurosawa is an experiential development of a relationship that transcends just being about a man loving a man. I feel like it is a relationship dynamic. It is a discussion of building up that relationship quality that can be understood and relatable to anyone, despite their sexuality. But I think that being able to also portray it as a man-on-man relationship is important because those perspectives need to be put out there. It needs to be purported that it is normal and okay for their relationship to exist. And to say that you can't write about it just because you don't know that author's experience or their sexuality is maybe not the best way to go about it. But I'm talking out my face at this point. Anyway, so getting into volume 2. Volume 2, we get into it. Again, we have the scene where Kurosawa's at work kind of trying to get a little bit closer to Adachi, and Adachi is terrified. One thing that the manga does that I really, really appreciate is that there's these little moments where it's kind of like a video game, and Kurosawa's like, let's rumble, and Adachi's like, I value my life. So I love that they portray some of the moments where Adachi is not exactly sure what to do as being like a video game mode where he's trying to figure out which action do I take that will lead to the best results, which is really fun. I like that a lot. I also like whenever we have this opening of volume 2 and Adachi is like, what do I do? Do I wear the comfy clothes? Do I wear this clothes? And Kurosawa is thinking about it. I played with paper dolls a lot when I was little at my grandmother's. I played with paper dolls, so I understand exactly what this is trying to do, and it's really super cute. But yeah, I don't have a lot to say about volume 2. It is pretty much beat for beat exactly like the anime. There's not a lot of extra that's notable with volume 2. I do like that we get a little bit more into Kurosawa's mindset and internal monologue, which is represented by the end when he confesses to Adachi, which is fun. But he talks about how Adachi makes him happy. But other than that, volume 2 is pretty beat for beat like the anime. I didn't see anything that stood out as like, oh, I need to talk about this in more detail, but it's a solid representation. So then we have volume 3, which has I like that some of the covers are used as the intermission cards in the anime, which is fun. It's exciting. I like it. Also, I do appreciate how the manga presents Kurosawa's jealousy in a little bit more of a darker light, where he's like, quit talking about Rokaku, where he just like is very much explicit. I like the shadows versus light that are portrayed between the two of them. It's really well done. I like it. I enjoy it. But again, with Adachi's reactions, they're usually at the top corner of the page, like when the scene transitions. And he's like, where were we? Currently hungover. And I love how the mangaka draws Adachi hungover. It's great. They look wonderful. It's fantastic. Also, Fujisaki is wonderful in this volume. She starts to talk about her kind of fantasies about the two of them together and having this great romance, which I find nothing wrong with that. Good for you for supporting a romantic relationship. Good job, girl. But I do want to make note that when she's like, thank you, could they be living together? Like her having this fantasy. I want to make note that the hoodie that Adachi is wearing, that is probably the hoodie from Kurosawa, the two of them on the couch together was giving me very much Victor and Yuri vibes from Yuri on Ice, even down to the striped hoodie, which I'm pretty sure I've seen in Yuri on Ice as fashion. So good job. Good reference. Manga. Love it. But yeah, so also I'm watching Steins Gate right now, which is not a BL to my knowledge yet. But there is a conversation in one of the episodes where the main character of Steins Gate has the realization that someone they believe is feminine in the show is a guy. And this part here where Adachi is questioning, well, I like Kurosawa, I find him attractive, but he's a guy. It just the way that he's a guy was purported was the same way it was done in Steins Gate. I just want to make that connection because it was kind of funny to me at the time. But he talks about how if we dated, we would run into all kinds of annoyances and really hard situations too. Understatement of the year, because in Japan, there's no same-sex marriage. There's still a lot of ostracization about people that are in same-sex relationships. It's better than it was decades ago, but it's still, very, very much not accepted in all avenues of culture, which from my perspective, same, finding that out as well. But I feel like maybe because Adachi has not really explored the idea of being homosexual or having that sexuality as part of his identity, he doesn't maybe fully grasp the weight of that relationship. Or maybe this is an alternate version of society where it's, more accepted, but we'll cross those bridges when we get to it, right? But he talks about here, he's like, I feel bad for Kurosawa, but I maybe need to stick with the status quo. That doesn't happen in this manga, by the way, but it's interesting that he's talking about, do I just stick with, going along with societal norms, or do I follow my heart and, accept that I feel mutually attracted to him as well? What do we do with that? I do also want to know that I really, really like Rokaku in this manga. He has a lot of the stuff with Rokaku as well as Suge and Minato are extra chapters that happen towards the end of the volumes. So I really appreciate that the manga was able to be adapted into the anime, and the anime team kind of somewhat seamlessly incorporated those scenes into each episode rather than them just feeling tacked on. In the manga, they feel a little tacked on because the story is mainly about Adachi and Kurosawa, but I do appreciate that they're included. And so Rokaku, who is our somewhat confirmed heterosexual office mate, he believes that Adachi and Kurosawa are trying to like train him. And I like this kind of Ouran High School Host Club Rose background view of that, where he's like, they must totally love me. I'm so glad I joined the company. And by love me, he means platonically, as, you know, a mentor-mentee. So then he projects that adoration and excitement onto Adachi, and Kurosawa wants to kill him. So, which is fun. So then we have Volume 4, which is where we have the hand-holding and such. And I like this shot of both of them, which is super cute. I also like their first date, where we get the little selfie and Adachi looks like he's just miserable, but it's only because he doesn't know what to do. And then Kurosawa's like, haha, and you can tell he's just so excited. Super cute. One thing is, as well, it happened a little bit in the anime, but every time Adachi and Kurosawa so far in the manga have been caught, Adachi like shoves him away and he falls down. So it's done to really humorous effect. Like when Asahina turns around, he like shoves him away. It's really cute. I love the way the mangaka draws that. It's very comical. It just works out really well. As far as the date song, the date song in the anime is integrated so perfectly, and I love it to pieces. In the manga, it's like, well, how do you get this date song to happen? Because you can't hear the character singing. So instead, it's just a panel, but it's of Kurosawa, and he's like giving Adachi a shoulder massage, and it says, "The date, music and lyrics by Yuichi Kurosawa." And it's like, our special day together. My pulse is frolicking. Is this a date? My heart's the one to make that reckoning. It's fine if it's just self-satisfaction. It's A-okay if it's all inside my head. I won't let anyone divide our fraction. You couldn't pry this thrill from my hands when they're cold and dead. And I'm not going to sing with the melody because I cannot sing very well, so you all get the idea. But I swear I'll give you the best day ever. Please let me be all that you see. Forgive me for being selfish. I'll keep these secret feelings hidden inside me. And then Adachi's like, I can't hear anymore. But it's super cute. I love the way they did it in the anime. It was perfection. It's probably one of my favorite adapted moments from what I've seen in the manga so far. It's just so good. It's great. One significant change, though, that I actually think the anime also did really well, and I kind of approve of it, is when they're on the date and they go to the clothing store. I don't know why they made this change in the anime, and those of you that might have a little more nuance can probably talk in the comments about that. But when they go in the store, the attendant that sees them is this kind of more like hip looking guy. He's like got a really like funky shirt on. He's got wild hair. He looks like a singer in a band. And so he's like, and Adachi's like, I'm lousy with places like this. Now, I don't know if the mangaka was making the guy that owns the store seem more stereotypically flamboyant. I don't know if that's the case. But what I liked that the anime did was the anime made him look like a distinguished gentleman, which to me made the joke of when Adachi's like giving the clothes and the man's like, it means he wants to take them off of you. Watch yourself, boy. I feel like it was much more humorous coming from this stately older gentleman that's like, watch yourself, boy, than this guy that looks a little bit more flamboyant that you might expect him to say something like that. I don't know. That's just apples and oranges, but I thought it was an interesting change. It's one of the few, if not only, change in adaptation from the manga to anime. And that's why it stood out, is because you don't see any other like changes with character design and things like that in the anime adaptation so far. So I don't know why that was. That was curious to me. One thing that was cute that was cut out of the anime that I thought was really sweet was that they go play laser tag. And during the laser tag, and maybe maybe it wasn't the anime. I don't remember it being in the anime unless it was like a little montage quick thing. But I like that Adachi's like, you know, after this, we can't go back to being coworkers. And it's like, no, not really. Then we have the another in volume 4, a author's note. We don't get them in all of the manga. If we have an author's note, I'm going to present it to you all, but we don't get them in all the volumes. I think volume 1 and volume 4 volume 2 and 3 did not have an author's note. It says, thank you very much for buying this book. I'm Yu Toyota. For the helicopter scene in this volume, I got an assist from the Arrows, the helicopter cruising company. I actually got to go for a ride too. My pilot was a veteran who'd witnessed several hundred midair dates. I've seen dozens of midair proposals and the success rate is 100%. A nice chatty guy. And then I hand in a rose from behind. I'm sorry I'm taking reference photos for a date that bombs. I could only tell him I was collecting material for a manga. Incredibly, they've decided to turn Cherry Magic into a TV anime. Or into a TV drama. So this is the live action one around the time Volume 4 is produced. Thank you so much for everyone who supported the story. I've loved drama since I was a kid. Having my own manga turned into one has been a dream of mine, so I'm completely over the moon. Cherry Magic isn't over yet, so please do keep watching over them. Yeah, I like the idea of this guy on this helicopter. I was like, yeah, it's 100% success rate. I'm like, Which, looking back on the manga and the anime, if it had been me and our first date involved a helicopter ride with a dozen roses, I would have been like, you are trying too hard, sir. You don't have to do this. Also, I do not ever want to be on a helicopter, so nope. I would have been like, no, I'm not getting on that. Sorry. So, Volume 5 has the scene from one of the intermission cards with them kissing and the can now read minds on there. I like that Kurosawa is not blushing in this shot, but Adachi is because he's like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed with emotion. Also, I like that we get some color versions of Rokaku as well as Minato and Suge. Super cute. Suge's eyes are green in the manga, which as a green-eyed girly, I appreciate 100%. Think it's cute. I like that him and Minato have somewhat different colors of green eyes. Minato's a little bit more hazel. Super sweet. There is a little bit of an extra side story at the start of Volume 5 where we get Kurosawa has some guy friends, which is cool because normally we just see Suge or Minato's guy friends, mainly Minato's. But he's like, friend A monologue. And so his friends talk about how Kurosawa got the best grades. There wasn't a sport he couldn't play. When we were just hanging out together, he got scouted by entertainment agencies all the time and had a fan club outside of school. It sounded like he had his fair share of girlfriends, but he was pretty tight-lipped about them. And so the little extra story goes on where his friends from school, who are still friends with him, have discovered that he's got someone he's having a relationship with. And they surmise that it's a girl. And they're like, oh, we want to meet her and everything. But Kurosawa's like, oh, I don't really want to. Like, Kurosawa is not shy about talking about how amazing Adachi is. He just doesn't say that Adachi is a guy. And so the friends think that it's a girl. So I'm curious as we get deeper into the manga that goes beyond the anime, if we start to see these friends come back that are Kurosawa's guy friends, and if they end up having thoughts about Adachi being a guy or what happens with that. I'm curious if we're going to get anything with it. I just thought it was cool that we finally got confirmation that Kurosawa has other friends and that they're dudes. So that's cool. I like that, but we'll see where that goes. Now, with Suge, there are some really cute scenes where, like we get this one where Kurosawa, like, immediately has a disdain for Suge, and Suge sees him from across the room. And from Volume 1, when he had the conversation with Adachi, he's like, oh, so that's him, the weirdo who fell for Adachi. He was trying to one-up me back there pretty hard. And says Suge has great instincts when it comes to everyone but himself. Love it. But also I kind of like the fact that Suge is not instantly smitten with Kurosawa. He's like, oh, it's him. Because Kurosawa is not his type at all. So that's fun. That's really exciting. Also, I love this shot of chapter 26. It's the cover page and it's Suge. And then you see, like, I like the little shot of his head up there. And it's like coffee, books, cats, Minato. That's like all of his thought bubbles. That's all that consumes. And romance are all that consume his thoughts, which is super cute. And Adachi's like, I can't quite read him. So yeah, also speaking of Suge, we get the scene where Minato comes up from behind him, and the English translation is he's reassuring, sort of like a dad. I live for Suge's expression in this moment. I live for it. I love how he's like, I don't think I want to be a dad. I'm like, sir, you're just not looking at it the right way. He's like, I was hoping for older brother at the very least. I'm like, sir, you may change your mind about that thought later on. So then in Volume 5, we get the start of Adachi trying to figure out what kind of birthday present he's going to get for Kurosawa. And so he decides he's going to get the headphones, but there's this really cute panel where he goes to the store to get them. And at first the woman suggests that he gets pink headphones because pink is like an in color this season. And Adachi's like, I don't think that pink is really is Kurosawa's style. And so then Adachi imagines what would look best with Kurosawa. So he ends up going with the black because it's classic. But he's like, it's stylish and classic. And I like that he has Kurosawa in the stereotypical like anime with turtleneck and blazer shot. But then he's like, bright blue is way too cool. White goes with anything, but they'd let his looks take center stage. And then gorgeous purple. He's like, it's sexy. It's too much power. And he has like the big fur coat. I just love the way it's funny because Adachi has been kind of thrown off by the fantasies that Kurosawa has of him and like all the clothes and being stylized and having the fashion. But now with him not even realizing it, he's doing it to Kurosawa because his look and appearance has changed throughout this entire page. It's great. And then we get a sneak peek of chapter 30. And I like this kind of like nocturnal rendezvous, sales and marketing ace Yuichi Kurosawa and sales admin Kiyoshi Adachi, hot stuff. And like Donna Summer starts playing. But I really like the way that they're like shot here. It's super cute. Also, Kurosawa in the trench coat with the turtleneck. Classy. Love. So the last volume that I wanted to recap before we dive into volume 7 is volume 6, which has 2 alternate covers for once, which is interesting. But there is the cover with him like doing a bridal carry of him. And I like that we also get Adachi doing the bridal carry of Kurosawa. I like it because the bridal carry of Adachi being held by Kurosawa, there's like cherry blossom petals and all this like faint blush. It's almost like it's through Kurosawa's perspective. And then you cut to Adachi's perspective and he's like, God, you're heavy. And there's no petals or romantic filter or anything like that. So it's fun. Now this one, the parental advisory for volume 6, yes, parental advisory is advised. I would say up through volume 5 had the kiss scene and all that, and they talked about the transfer, which was pretty beat for beat with the anime adaptation. So if you would think that the kiss scene would be inappropriate for a younger audience, which I don't think it's inappropriate, I've seen just as much in a Disney film, then it's fine. But volume 6 does give us a little teeny bit more than the anime from episode 10 or 11. So in terms of that, yeah, this has some explicit content. It's not spicy yaoi smut, for the record, unfortunately. But, you know, if that's your jam. But it does delve a little bit into it. So we get the whole thing of the transfer happening, and Adachi writes Kurosawa the letter as per Suge's suggestion. One change that is pretty notable from the manga to the anime is that in the anime, Kurosawa is like up against the hotel when Adachi stumbles across him over, you know, at his transfer site. Here, Kurosawa is literally out in the rain. Kurosawa's out in the rain, catching a cold, getting sick, like getting deliberately rained upon. He might as well be holding a boombox on one shoulder. And so it is a little bit more dramatic. But what's also more dramatic is after they get inside the hotel room and Adachi and Kurosawa have the conversation about how they feel about each other, I love this double spread. The double spread of the kiss, where Adachi like takes center stage, takes the lead in the relationship, is so well done. It's so good. But then we get a little bit more between the two of them. Now, I feel like the anime is very tasteful in the hand scene. The hands of yearning are extremely tasteful. But if you're somebody that was like, but what happened? What happened? You get a little bit of a taste in volume 6 of what else happened. And I skipped a page to not show you because you should go out and check it yourself. But Kurosawa takes the lead, and you can hear what he's saying. Now, if you're someone that likes the anime and the fact that you don't hear what each of them are saying, then that is totally an aesthetic choice that I think works really well. And you may not like the manga being a little bit more detailed. I think it depends on how you want to view it. The curiosity in me, I was like, I kind of want to know what happens. But after looking at it, I'm like, I kind of appreciate the anime being a little bit more minimal and tastefully discretional about it. Because like, that was cute. I want to hear more. And then Adachi's like, shut up. She's like, stop talking. He's like, you're adorable. This is all new to you. And, you know, Kurosawa sucking on his hand is a bit erotic. He's like, I'll be your first, the first to touch you, the first that you'll touch. He's like, if I have that sweet voice in my ears the whole time, I'm going to lose my mind. I almost wish that Kurosawa could have heard what he was hearing, because I think that would have been really cool. And then he's like, and Kurosawa kind of backs off and says, I kind of lost it. And he's like, I need to treasure him. I promised I would. And I like that Adachi hears him. He hears Kurosawa kind of backing off and trying to be respectful. And that gives Adachi the kind of go ahead to say, like, you know, you don't have to act cool. I can hear everything. I want to treasure you too. It's okay. You can do whatever you want. I love that. Now, as far as what happens after that moment, the only shot we get is of them being very passionate. Now, from the way that, like, you can see the angle of his knee up in the corner there, I assume that they had sex in that regard, but here's the thing, you don't quite know. From having read a lot of BL and yaoi at this point, I kind of like how some BL explore the idea of sexual encounters in a lot more detail. So they talk about prep work. They talk about that. A lot of people view that as smutty and spicy and just like being erotic. But honestly, it's kind of, you know, I think important to show that it's not just, doesn't just happen. There's stages. So, and you know, because it's cut off at an angle where you don't see anything, you don't know if there's necessarily a penetrative act involved or if it's just them rubbing their ding-dongs together. For lack of better phrasing. You just don't know. So it's left up to your imagination, right? Which I do like, the tasteful leaving up to your imagination of what happened. So that's really good. But then the volume 6 cuts off with Adachi realizing that he can't hear Kurosawa's thoughts anymore. And it's like, oh, okay. So we have that. And then there is one little bonus thing. I want to point it out to you all because I think it's hilarious. There's a little bonus scene. We've not even gotten into Minato's dance competition and all of that, but he goes, the scene at the club where Suge is taking photos of Minato dancing has already happened by this point. But there's a shot where Minato comes to deliver something to Suge, and Suge is trying to look cool and try to look younger, and he shows up. I personally love this geometric shirt on Suge, but the shades are a little much. It says, rattled that Minato thought he was dad-like before. Suge tried a younger look. But he's like, I'm hip with the kids, even though Minato's only like 7 years younger than him. But it's so funny. And Minato's like, please don't dress like that. He's like, what is going on with this outfit? There is a moment, though, where Suge's like, you're right. I'm dressing like an idiot. I don't know why I did this. And he starts to take off the shirt and his other shirt. And Minato's like, oh, he's actually kind of buff. Oh, and he reaches out like to touch him. And then he's like, wait, why am I doing that? So it's starting to get the fact that Minato is a little bit sexually attracted to Suge as well, which is fun. But as of this volume, they've not really explored that. So the final volume 6 mangaka's note is, hello, Yu Toyota here. If you follow my Twitter, you'll already know this. But after each episode, I just don't know where to start with the thank yous. The Cherry Magic drama is currently airing every week, and I bet I'm enjoying it more than anybody else in Japan. It's thanks to the truly magnificent production team, cast, and staff, to my editor who spent a whole year preparing for this. They're all total geniuses. And most of all, to you. You've given me so much support thanks to every single one of you. There's something I'm trying to draw, but it won't fit on this page. Also, the final episode hasn't aired yet, so I want to wait until the next volume to do it in detail. The proudest look this century. As for the main story, we finally got to this point. The question of whether or not Adachi would end up with Kurosawa because he genuinely wanted to be with him was the main focus from the beginning. So I'm really glad I got to draw the story this far. The drama ends its run on the 24th, but the crucial stage is still coming up for the 2 in the manga, so I'll continue for a while longer. I hope you'll keep watching over them. Besides, Suge and Minato still have a ways to go. I haven't watched the live action drama, to be honest, and I don't usually ascribe to live action BL only because I feel like because it's live action, it is censored more and it's kind of watered down from what the anime and manga do. I feel like it's so weird to me, but I feel like in the weirdest way, anime gets to be more close to the BL's intention than live action does, which we talked about how Western culture views animation, and it's sort of kind of like a contrast in a way. It's hard to explain, but I would like to watch the live action one day, but I do fully expect that I won't be as impressed with it as the anime and manga, so it always holds me back. I'm like, am I not going to like it as much? Because, for example, with Given, they did a live action adaptation, and it was okay. But it was not nearly as good as the anime, so what can you do? But yeah, so I've spent nearly an hour talking about the first 6 volumes of this. But I do want to get into volume 7 today. So I'm going to go have some lunch and then come back with you all, and we're going to dive into volume 7's reaction here in just a few seconds in your time. All right, so I have had lunch. I'm ready to go and ready to start looking over volume 7 with you all, which is going to be exciting. So we are going to start volume 7 of Cherry Magic. 30 years of virginity can make you a wizard or get taken away. We're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. I really like the cover, obviously, of this, but the moment I saw this cover, I was like, oh, we're only on volume 7 and we're already getting to the rings. So that's exciting stuff. Although I do like Adachi with the teal eyes and Kurosawa with the like green hazel eyes. They're so pretty. So anyway, we'll dive into this. That's cute with them and the hairdryer. Adorable. I'm all about couples having domestic moments. I'm just like, that's so sweet. I love it. Okay, so interestingly enough, there's not as much going on in this volume. There's chapters 35 through 38, but there's only like one Suge edition, which I'm wondering, the Suge edition starts on page 91, and this is like 149 page volume. So I'm assuming the Suge edition part 8, lucky number 8, rule of 8, I'm assuming is leading into the whole thing with the dance competition, because it seems like it's 50 pages. So that's crazy. And it's going to lead us to volume 8. So rule of 8, what do we do? But yeah, I love this. I did see this before we started. That's kind of around the time I decided. I was like, oh, I want to wait. But I like this is from Adachi's perspective, because we're about to get something totally different from it. I like this is from Adachi's perspective, where they're holding each other. There's no sound. There's no thoughts. It's just silent. And it's a representation of Adachi losing that ability to read those minds. Because immediately following, we're going to see something from Kurosawa's perspective that's totally different. So what just happened? Take a wild guess. Yes. So this part here I had read, and it's basically around the same as the anime where he figures out that he can't hear his thoughts anymore. I love the little subtext with cheeks of marshmallow fluff. You're a smooth talker for a guy who just woke up. Yeah. He's like, since I hit the age of 30, a virgin, I figured I was a wizard now. Did I have the wrong idea? Was my interpretation of virgin off? That was the part where I'm like, was your conception of sex different than what you thought for this? But I like in the background of this one page, the whole time Kurosawa is like getting ready while Adachi is having a crash out moment. And then he's like, here, you want some coffee? I also like, it gives me very Pepe Sylvia, like have some coffee so you don't freak out. Have some more caffeine so your heart won't race. I didn't think the magic would vanish like that. And then Kurosawa talks about how it's incredible he has this ability to read minds. He's like, you knew everything I was thinking, my ulterior motives, my petty jealousies, my cringeworthy fantasies. He's like, well, you were privy to all sorts of things, which I don't think his fantasies were cringeworthy. I think they were actually kind of cute. My ugly and dumb side. But you decided to like me anyway, and it made me happy. I'm grateful for that magic. I love that. And I love the fact that Adachi's like, Kurosawa is thankful that you saw all these sides of me that he was afraid would turn someone off, and you still loved me despite them. So that's kind of what drew him even further to you. But I like Adachi saying the first time you touched my heart had nothing to do with, or Kurosawa says to him, it had nothing to do with magic. It was what you said to me in your own words. And he's like, do you regret that you did have stuff happen with me? And he's like, no, I will never regret it. I told you I really like you. I just thought words wouldn't be enough to show you how much. And so actions speak louder than words, of course. He's like, if I get anxious, I'll say so. I'll touch and be touched. I was like, oh, get a little romantic there. I love that. It's okay to check on things like that. Even without magic, as long as I was with you, it'd be fine. And I bet that's why he lost his ability to read thoughts. And I love Kurosawa getting teary there. That's so sweet and precious. I love it. I'm excited because, like I talked about in the anime, I'm excited for Minato and Suge to get to this point, but we are nowhere near that, I believe. Yeah, that line was lethal. You're way cooler than I am. Oh, I love Kurosawa for this because Adachi is just like Adachi has such low self-esteem for himself, but Kurosawa is like, I'm just a hot dork, and I'm like, we could only be so lucky. If only we could be so lucky. But I love him using his sleeve to wipe away Kurosawa's tears. That's super cute. And then he gives him the big hug. I love that. Super cute. Yeah. I can feel the warmth of you and smell the scent with the same intensity that I used to hear in your inner voice. And of course, Kurosawa was like hearing it out loud is crazy. The only thing that kind of was a benefit of them being able to communicate with telepathy was that, you know, getting to say stuff that's so cheesy and romantic in your mind is pretty sexy. And now you have to say it out loud. It's like, just, now I have to deal with this and make my flight. He's like, well, we'll talk once you're back about the transfer. And we know that Adachi's going to take the transfer and accept it. I'm curious, though, if we're going to get any more with that. Oh, I like the shot down there at the bottom with Adachi doing this with his hand is very Suge coded. It's just like, oh my God, like, how do I deal with this? Okay, this is the page that the moment I saw it, I was like, I'm going to have to react to this volume with you all, because note that chapter 35's cover was this beautiful, silent shot with Adachi and Kurosawa in it. Here, we get Kurosawa's inner thoughts as he's on the plane going back. Saying, I'm so happy I might burst. I don't want to go home. I mean, why the heck didn't I take today off before coming down here? I guess I was too desperate to think ahead yesterday. Adachi sure was adorable though, wasn't he? I don't want to forget any of his expressions from yesterday to today, but he gets cuter with every passing second, and I don't think it's that I don't have the capacity to handle it. I'm more scared of what the future holds. On top of that cuteness, he's so sexy and cool and open-minded. It's ridiculous. I feel like I won the lottery a million times over. If he keeps spoiling me rotten with his perfection, he's going to ruin me. The idea of packing off such a peerless angel to Nagasaki all by himself worries me to no end. He's obviously going to be popular. There is anyone who wouldn't fall for him. I mean, obviously there isn't, but still I want to support him whatever he decides. Just having a freak out moment. I love he's just sitting there internalizing all of this. I mean, and honestly, it is exaggerated and played up for him being like so over the top with his adoration of Adachi. But honestly, I feel like any of us, like, I am naturally a jealous person, kind of like Kurosawa. And so if I was having to go back and leaving somebody I cared about alone, I would be worried too that, like, is someone going to try to swoop them away from me? What do I do with that and all that? So I feel like it's just an exaggerated feeling of how we all might feel if we were like that with someone we cared about. So yeah, and this is super cute. And so then we go to the apartment of them together after the fact, and he's like, I think I'm going to accept the transfer. So we get a little bit more in the anime, I guess, of him going with the one guy and seeing the place. But he's like, I know you've got this. I'm going to Nagasaki reminded me. You're the reason I can be so positive about this. Being apart from you will be lonely, but since I'm helping to open the new store, I think I could be back in less than a year if everything progresses. And when you get back, do you want to move in together? Okay, so Kurosawa is the one that asks it. Okay. I couldn't remember if that was the case. Aww. And then they agree. Okay, now, this is different. Because he's like, that was almost a proposal just now. We got this scene not when they were making food, but when they were out in the park. So, oh, I wanted to find the perfect place and time. Oh, this is in their house. So this is not in the park out in the open before. Oh, okay. When I'm with you, I want to try to look my best. Oh, cool. This is in their house. That's so awesome. You don't need to wear it all the time. So, honestly, we changed this up because in the anime, this happened after he got back, right? After he got back from Nagasaki, this happened. Whereas here, this is happening before he goes. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I can't hear his thoughts anymore, but his nervousness is loud and clear. And then he says, yes, I bet the mail truck has gotten here. And that's why. Oh, I love it. And then we have, I feel like I like this more in their house. It feels a little more intimate. Maybe the cinematography wouldn't have been as special, but I feel like it's more intimate this way. Interesting. Oh, I love it. I love the internal monologue we get here. This ring is a lot, all right, but I'm loving it. So I guess I'm a pretty intense guy myself. Oh, I love that. I love Adachi being like, well, maybe I'm a little bit intense as well. How long have you had these? Knowing would weird you out. And he's like, wait, how long? Just tell me. And then I guess when he tells him, he's like, These pajamas were just my size too. Don't tell me you've got all kinds of stuff like this waiting in the wings. Oh, is this? Show me all right now. Get them all out. It's not just the PJs and the rings. You're hiding other stuff. Well, I don't want to. I'll wear them for you, so get them out. It's the aprons. This had better be all of it. Adachi wondered how he could keep Kurosawa from accumulating more stuff while he was away in Nagasaki. Oh, I kind of love that an aspect of Kurosawa is that he's kind of a hoarder for couples things. That's really super cute. And Adachi's like, I love the way they draw him in the bottom panel. He's like, this had better be all of it. Ah! That's super cute. That's also, chapter 37's cover is super cute with the little tiny plush of Kurosawa and the plane making the heart. That's adorable. Yes, please. I decided to take the transfer. Okay. We'll be apart for a little while now. I don't know what in the world. Hold on, I'm going to go check this. Yeah, there was like somebody that was lost was here getting a wrong address. Okay. So now that my dogs have calmed down. So he's taking the transfer job, as we know. And everybody thinks Kurosawa has a girlfriend. But I'm not worried about Kurosawa, obviously. I think Kurosawa has more to worry about with Adachi attracting people because, I mean, Adachi, I think, would possibly make somebody feel attracted without realizing it, whereas Kurosawa knows when people are attracted to him, and he's like, no, I'm good. But I feel like Adachi would be like, I'm just being a nice person. And Kurosawa is definitely the more jealous of the two. Oh, I can't believe you're in talks with the famous Nagasaki pottery brand about an exclusive wholesale contract. They're a big client, so I'm planning to visit them in person. And I go, oh, he's planning to go to Nagasaki to visit this pottery company. To be in the same place as Adachi. Their plates and mugs are super hot with young people these days. You're totally on top of the trends, Kurosawa. He's like, what's gotten into you? You keep knocking him out of the park. He's like, I really want that contract. If I land it, I'll be able to make authorized trips to Nagasaki on the regular. Oh, bitch. I love that. I won't tell Adachi until the contract's finalized. I don't want to get his hopes up in case it falls through. That would be amazing. If we get a little bit of extra detail with that, that would be adorable. Oh, I want this to be a thing. Okay, and then we have Suge helping him to box up everything. Oh, my little brother was supposed to help out, but his kid came down with a fever. Oh, okay, so we've now got, I mean, I get why they cut that out of the anime, but we have, okay, I'm assuming we'll probably see more of this in the manga later on, especially if Adachi has to introduce Kurosawa, if they get married, to the family. So he has a little brother who has a kid. Okay, all right, interesting. Yeah, it's technically a promotion. Oh. Yep. And he's like, he's got paper. Okay. What about the magic thing? Should I tell him I'm no longer a wizard? Oh, and then he's like, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I like the Suge's like, I don't want to know about you having sex, but kudos. Okay. I took that guy for an old-fashioned man's type, but he's a lot more flexible. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. So he assumed that Adachi was like the one to take the lead. I mean, that fantasy is really nice, and it's not totally wrong, but you might have things a little backwards, okay? Yeah, I do think Adachi has changed for the better, sure. Without relying on magic. I should do the same. I need to learn to quit leaning on this power and get a grip already. Oh, I bet we're going to see stuff with that, so who knows? All right, so now we're at the Nagasaki branch with everything going on, and poor Adachi having to settle down with things for 2 months. Okay, I just come home and sleep. Since headquarters sent me, the staff treats me like a leader, but being able to mess around with the systems doesn't make me much use in an actual store. They probably think Kusumoto would be a better leader, which hurts. Kusumoto is really adorable. I like him a lot in this. I hope we get more with him. Maybe they overestimated me because of my mind reading in the first place. But I like that he says, don't be pessimistic. I like that he's like, no, don't do that. Oh, we haven't seen each other in almost 3 weeks. He had a cold last week, and my job got in the way the week before that. Uh-huh. I figured I could handle it. Was I always this weak? Oh, he wears the ring around his neck. Okay. Because, I mean, he probably doesn't want questions at work about it, but he wears the ring around his neck. That's cute. He's going the Shilian route. Okay. Oh, I like that he puts it on when he's at home so that he can, like, work with it. That's cute. I like that. All right. Aw, Kusumoto's really cute. I like him, too. All right. And then he showed up. Yeah, what if you overdo it? Okay. And he talks about him having the cold and everything. Oh, and he noticed, so he did wear the ring at work. Oh, God. Kurosawa was like, ah. Oh, the second I see his face, I know that's not true. Snuggly Adachi is like, oh, okay. Ooh. Okay, now, I feel like a lot of this was streamlined in the anime because I don't recall all of this. So this is probably new, which is really exciting. Okay, like they just shoved the shoes and the clothes off. Oh! Oh, hello! Yes, okay, well, the parental advisory for Volume 7 might be appropriate. Ooh. Oh, Adachi telling him to leave a mark to last until we next see each other. You can't be saying things like that to Kurosawa. You cannot be doing that. Yeah! Yeah, he's like, oh! Oh my gosh, he's going to be leaving all of the marks. Oh my God. Oh. The walls are paper thin. These two. Oh, we're not even married yet. Oh my goodness. Getting into some kinky business. I watched another series this summer that got into some kinky business too. So, okay. Well. Oh, on his shoulder. I mean, kudos to the series for giving us some spiciness. Love that. Okay. Yeah. It's noon already. Oh my gosh. I was lonely. Look at the little one of Kurosawa there. He's like, you got me. How could I not? It's written all over your face. Oh my God, Kurosawa feeling so adorable. He's like, you missed me? Oh. He's like, I'm all depressed over here. I can't seem to get the hang of it. I'm slow and inept and it's pathetic. Oh, I love the anime trope. I've seen it in Summer Hikaru Died of where a character gets sad and he just puts the blanket over his head and he's like just super cute. Oh, they said that you're easy to work with because you're always complimentary and you pick up on the praise in people's talents no matter how small. Oh, and I've been lonely too and missing you something awful. I can see why they cut this out for the sake of getting it in the 12 episodes, but this is so cute. I love this. Oh, we can both be a little messy when we're together. Love, love, love. Let me spoil you even more. So cute. Oh, the little dog fluff there at the top panel there. I know that it's Kurosawa is supposed to be kind of like a puppy dog, but it definitely looks like Taidama from Given, which is super cute. Oh, ever since I fell for you, my emotions have been yanking me around, and I get more selfish every day. I never knew I was that sort of person. It confused me at first, but now I'm all right with it. Oh, that shot of Kurosawa where he's like, I bet you have no idea how greedy I am. Oh, y'all. Oh, y'all. Oh. Volume 7 already giving me all the things. Okay, so then this was in the anime with Kusumoto and all that. Oh, they hold weddings here. Are we getting a Yuri wedding right here, right now? Just randomly? A random Yuri wedding? I mean, this clearly feels like an alternate universe already because Japan does not have a same-sex marriage, legally, so that's interesting. But I'm kind of here for it, for sure. Awesome. Aw. This calls for a beer. I haven't had one in a while. Doot doot doot. That wedding this afternoon was awesome. Yes, indeed. I love it. Would really suit Kurosawa, I'm sure. Oh. Oh no, his fantasizing habits rubbing off on me. The spell came undone. If this were a fairy tale, we'd have hit our happily ever after by now, but our lives are just getting started. Ooh. Oh, and him talking about the bite marks fading. It's proof that I'm yours. Getting a little bit of claiming Omegaverse stuff here. I'm not opposed. Yes, you know that he gets as insecure as you do. You know that he does. We want signs from each other. If I was the one to suggest it, how would Kurosawa react? He'd probably faint. Which may happen. Oh, here we go. So this is about Adachi's brother. Aww. Is that from Kiyoshi? He says the story's launching in Nagasaki open today. Jeez, bro, where's the funeral? Oh my gosh. Oh, the mom sees the ring. Oh, bitch. Oh. I wonder if he met someone special over there. I hope he introduces us someday. I feel like the mom would be very supportive. I feel like it's always, I don't want to say always, I feel like it is typically the father figures that have an issue with it because it's about masculinity and heteronormative standards and things like that. I feel like if anybody ever has conflict, it's usually the fathers, but I am interested to see where that goes. This double spread's gorgeous. I love this. This is so cute. Adorable. And now, wow, that went by super quick. That went by super fast. Okay. All right. And now we're in the Suge edition, which they look super cute there. Okay. So yeah. Oh man, him with the long hair. The anime, man, the manga does him a little dirty there. The anime made him look really good with long hair. The manga not so much. So, curiouser and curiouser. I feel like in the anime, they make Suge's hair really short, especially around his forehead, and the manga makes it a little bit less so. Also, I love the idea that Suge has the dogs in the background like Kurosawa did, but also there's like little crabs in the background. That's cute. That's cute. That's funny. Maybe they're supposed to be cats. I don't know. You write romance novels, huh? I saw a display down at the bookstore. Oh, we're getting to the main character. He's like, oh, we actually have a lot of books out. That's awesome. I have a few, yeah. I love Udon on the box. That's super cute. Oh, if no one reads it, writing is meaningless. We talked about his view about writing in the anime episode itself, which is interesting. I don't know if I agree with Suge on some points, but I think that's interesting. But I do kind of agree it is important, you know, to have a visualization of who you're writing about. Okay, so he's talking about back in college, we shared the stage for one show. Well, that changes things a little bit. I'm like, was there a little bit of political pull in getting Minato to be in the show? A little bit of political pull? I can see why they cut that, because that would have kind of like gave it away that it was going to work out. Interesting. Oh, okay. And then everybody dancing. But then Shota describes here that you've got technique, but that's it. Okay. Oh, look at Suge. And then, okay, here's the friends. Yes. Interesting. Yeah. The one friend. Oh, are you nuts? Okay, and that's when he talks about the full-time job. Okay. They have a vacancy and they're hiring. Okay, and then he went and met with them. It's a ways from the station, but still. Okay. And that's when he runs out of the gas, right? To tell Suge that. This actually works out pretty well in the manga. In the anime, I don't remember how it was in the anime, but I feel like this is a little bit, I feel like them, and by them I mean the mangaka, separating out the manga parts, it feels a little bit smoother as far as the transition goes, because you have all of your Adachi and Kurosawa moments together, and at the end of the volume you get the Suge and Minato things. I kind of like that. I think of Sayonara Game and Change World and Engage back there in Love Nest. They're all in the same universe, those manga on the shelf I talked about in the August update. That series is a series of different couples, and they all kind of are in the same universe, and it branches off and has a series for each one of them. But here they kind of try to integrate it, which is good. But yeah, when he's like, does he even have a license? He looked a little bit more badass in the anime, not gonna lie. But he looks super cute here. Oh, I love it. He's like, I love him encouraging, as long as you don't give up, I know your dreams will come true someday. Oh, and him like clinging on to him. Oh, that's so cute. I love their expressions there. That's super sweet. Oh, I'm going to go blow their minds. This reminds me of something, I think it's from Daokyusei. I think that this reminds me of something from Daokyusei. Either that, or I'm trying to think of what series it reminds me of. Oh, look at Suge being like, oh God, I haven't rode in a while. Oh, sometimes the adrenaline is a good enough motivator. At first, I thought he was a weirdo, but the one that lifted my spirits and encouraged me has always been him. I've been so focused on passing the audition, I forgot about my audience. It's about being present. You gotta be present at the moment when you compete at something. That's like number one. You gotta be present. Yep, absolutely. Oh, cute. Love this. And then they talk about the audition and going in. Okay. I couldn't have done it without everyone watching. That's sweet. I like that little addition there. He's like, you were great. I'm so thrilled for you. He's like, why are you always so nice to me? Now, I'm curious how they're going to frame it, because the anime frames it as him having ulterior motives. So how are we doing? Oh, we frame it the same way. I have an ulterior motive. Are they going to end it there? No. Oh, they ended it there? Oh, bitch. That's crazy. Okay, this is a bonus manga. Have you heard the song I wrote during our first date? Well, that's embarrassing. Now I present all 20 verses of the love song to Adachi for your listening pleasure. Oh my God, this is the date song. It wasn't real. I love these, like, oh my God, what if that had been real? That's cute. I love that. Kurosawa's clingier than you think. Nobody but me knows about that dumb stuff or this unguarded expression. I look forward to sharing this year too with you. Oh! Oh, and he went to give him a kiss on the forehead. Nice. Cute. Okay. Ooh. And so next, oh, meeting the parents. Oh, awesome. Okay. Oh, I'm excited for volume 8. Volume 8. So excited. Yes, please. Cherry Magic is finally at 7 volumes. The series was originally supposed to end once Adachi's magic disappeared. As I was drawing the story, though, I started to wonder how he and Kurosawa would adjust once they didn't have the magic for training wheels. That part seemed important, so the series continues. Tsuge and Minato also finally started to progress. I hope you'll watch over them too. The cherry magic drama did really seem like magic. When I watched episode 1 for the first time, the fact that it was based on my manga felt irrelevant. I just thought it was a fantastic drama. I was an instant fan. I spent every week of its 3-month run looking forward to that 1 a.m. time slot. Man, 1 a.m., When I started the series, I wanted to draw. We got wait till everybody's half asleep before we show the dudes liking doos. When I started the series, I wanted to draw a manga where the readers could support the main character's love as if it were an audience participation movie. So basically they wanted us to be Fujisaki, essentially. That's why I've continued to serialize it on Twitter. Even over drawing social media, I was able to get excited along with the readers and drama viewers, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm really happy the staff and cast paid much close attention to the world of cherry magic when making the drama. Oh, cool. I'm not going to check out the Twitter yet because there's probably going to be spoilers. So that's awesome. Oh, I can't believe Volume 8. We're going to get to meet the parents. And get more with the dancing and everything with that. 8's my lucky number, y'all. So that is super exciting. There are translation notes and all that, but there's a sneak peek for Volume 8, but we're not gonna get into that sneak peek yet because that would be spoilers. So, I'm so glad that I'm reacting to the manga now. I think that this is gonna be a lot of fun, and my goal is to every month join you all every month to see what we get. So that's super exciting. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what the series has to hold for us. Every month we're going to be doing a volume of Cherry Magic. So starting in September, we're going to be doing volume 8. I already kind of have a time slot picked out for that. So it'll just be whenever I get it recorded and up on Patreon. As always, it will come out a week ahead of time on Patreon. So if you want to be one of the first to see that, you just pop on over to my Patreon. There are 4 tiers on my Patreon right now. For $1 a month, you get access to the Discord where we can talk about Cherry Magic and share screenshots after I've viewed the volumes. And then you also can spoiler tag anything that you find that I've not seen yet and talk amongst yourselves and make me excited about what's to come. But also there's a $5 tier per month where you get things a week earlier than everybody else on YouTube. So you get a chance to hear me blabber about these guys before everybody else does. There's also a $10 philanthropy tier if you want to throw me some extra bones for the month. And then of course there is the commission slot, which is thankfully and gratefully and amazingly full. It only has 4 spots on it, but people commission me to watch movies and things like that I normally wouldn't get to on my channel. So there's been some amazing movies on my channel that you will have seen that have been Patreon commissions that I've loved and just completely fallen head over heels for. So I hope you give my Patreon a shout out and check it out if you get a chance. But thank you all so much. If you don't have money to support me on Patreon, understandable, but please help me in the algorithm. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll be here every month until we're caught up with Cherry Magic and beyond that when new volumes come out. So with that being said, I can't wait to hear your thoughts down below about all the extras we've gotten so far. I'm super excited for volume 8 in September. Shouldn't be too long of a wait, trust me. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Cherry Magic. Bye!